Hello and welcome to Daily Dose Radio, a 5-minute-a-day podcast studying the Psalms verse by verse, recorded here in the dining room of the Bible Bistro, located in Sharonville, Ohio. Hey there, friend. Welcome back to Daily Dose Radio here in the Bible Bistro. Come on in here. Sit down here with me at the table. Get yourself something hot or cold to drink. Open your Bible up. And let's study today Psalm 62, verses 5 through 8. Now, this is a kind of a big bite, especially in the middle of a psalm with only 12 verses. But I felt like we needed to take a bigger bite today, just so that we could get in this entire section. And then tomorrow and on Friday, we will talk about verses 9 through 12, and we'll divide that up a little bit. So let me read for us verses 5 through 8. If you have your Bible, follow along. If you don't, just allow me to read for you. My soul, wait thou only upon God, for my expectation is from him. He only is my rock and my salvation. He is my defense. I shall not be moved. In God is my salvation and my glory. The rock of my strength and my refuge is in God. Trust in him at all times, ye people. Pour out your heart before him. God is a refuge for us. Selah. So we have this statement, again, this chorus or refrain, whatever you want to call it, right here at the beginning. It's a little bit different than the one we had in verses 1 and 2, but here in 5 and 6, just some slight differences. Instead of salvation, we have expectation there in verse 5, and we don't have greatly moved, we just have moved in verse 6. So those, just a few differences, but not anything great. So again, David confesses this chorus of confession, my soul, wait thou only upon God. Now, you'll notice another difference here is that in verse 1, he says, truly my soul waits. Here he says, my soul, wait thou. So he's addressing now his soul with his confession. This is not a bad practice for us either. With our confession, we should speak to our soul and say, whatever it is that we're confessing, wait thou upon God is what David says here. My expectation is from him. So he's telling his soul to be patient, to wait, to expect. And then he gives us verse 6, which is the same as verse 2. He only, notice that, he only, there's only one rock. There's only one salvation. He only is my rock and my salvation. He is my defense. I shall not be moved. Or, as David said there in verse 1, greatly moved. So his confession is nearly the same, but in this case, he's speaking to the soul. Now, we've had this first person all the way through here so far. Verse 1, 2, 3, 4, we've had this first person. Again, we have it in 5, my soul, wait thou. So he's speaking to my soul. My expectation is from him. He only is my rock, my salvation, my defense. I shall not. The psalmist is consoling and encouraging himself, but he's going to turn to his audience here in just a moment. Verse 7, in God is my salvation and my glory. The rock of my strength and my refuge is in God. Again, shades of Psalm 18 right here in verse 7. My salvation, my glory, the rock of my strength, my refuge. All themes that we have coming over to us from Psalm 18. And then he turns to his audience and he says, trust in him at all times, ye people. Pour out your heart before him. This is exactly what David does every time, isn't it? He pours out his heart because he trusts in the Lord. And so now he's encouraging everyone to do exactly the same thing. Trust in him, pour out your heart to him. God is a refuge, notice, for us. So he has in mind his audience. All of this, his confession, his chorus of confession, his problem, his chorus of confession and the encouragement that he gives to his own soul. And then he turns to us and he says, trust in him always. He also is your only salvation, rock, defense, strength, glory, all of those things. Pour out your heart before him. How many of us refuse to do that? We talk about prayer, we think about prayer, we hear sermons about prayer, we read books about prayer, but how much do we really pray? Friend, pour out your heart before Him. Why? He is a refuge for us, that is, for His people. Pour out your heart to Him. Ask Him for these things. Pray to Him. Seek Him and trust that He's going to be your deliverance. Well, we'll come back tomorrow. We have a Selah here, so we're going to break. We'll come back tomorrow, and we're going to look at verses 9 and 10 here on Daily Dose Radio. Thanks for listening to Daily Dose Radio. For more fresh and delicious Bible studies, podcasts, books, and more, check out the Bible Bistro online and on YouTube. Join me again next time for Daily Dose Radio.